Morning all. All right, there's 3 games tonight in the NHL, so it's a preview video, it's a news video wrapped up in one for your Friday, March the 24th, as we're getting closer and closer to April. So we have 2 games starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, one starting at 9 p.m. Eastern, so nice break. I'm considering doing a board for these 2 games and then reviewing them earlier and then reviewing this one on its own later. And then I can work on the preview for the 15-game day we have tomorrow. So taking my chance to rest up a little bit, knowing how busy it's going to be tomorrow. Part of the reason why this is being posted a little bit later than my normal first video of the day. So 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between the Islanders and the Columbus Blue Jackets. The Islanders are 37, 27, and 8 on the season. Their last 10 games are 7, 2, and 1. They're currently 2 points ahead of Pittsburgh, 3 points ahead of Florida. And I don't see them as being in danger of falling out of the playoffs, but I know a lot of people want, when you talk about which teams aren't safe, you should be talking more about the Islanders. I think they've been playing well. Bo Horvat on the season has 36 goals, 27 assists, 63 points. Of course, a vast majority of those points in Vancouver where the offense was more free-flowing. But I think Horvat's played well enough. He's winning them face-offs. He's still around the net. I think the goals will come for him as well. On the Columbus side, they're 22, 41, and 7. Their last 10 games are 3, 6, and 1. They're 29 points behind Pittsburgh. Johnny Gaudreau, 17 goals, 48 assists, 65 points. The interesting thing with Gaudreau is, will he have a bounce-back year next year? And that's the question that I would have is, how do you get the most points out of Johnny Gaudreau in year 2 of a very expensive contract? The Islanders have won the first 3 meetings. They've all been close, but the Islanders have won them all. 4-3 in overtime on November 12th, 3-2 on November 25th, and on December 29th, it was a 2-1 win for the Islanders there. So we'll see what happens tonight. 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific start between the New Jersey Devils and the Buffalo Sabres. So New Jersey, 45, 18, and 8 on the season. Their last 10 games, they're 5, 3, and 2. They're 2 points behind Carolina. This is a chance for them to tie for the lead in the division, and they're 4 points clear of the Rangers. So they also want to get some more space between themselves and the Rangers, who have been playing really well lately. Jack Hughes, 37 goals, 44 assists, 81 points. The odds of him getting to 1,000 points definitely have dropped over the last month or so, but he's still going to put up an excellent total points for this season, and he will be a 100-point producer for New Jersey probably next season. On the Buffalo side, they're 33, 31, and 6. They're 2, 6, and 2 over their last 10. Their hopes have definitely taken a hit over the last little while, and we will talk about Buffalo a little bit in this part of the board when we get to the news of the day. They're currently 8 points behind Pittsburgh for that final playoff spot. Alex Tuch has been excellent when he's been healthy. 30 goals, 35 assists, 65 points. Definitely has emerged as a star player in his own right since leaving Vegas. Now, New Jersey won the first meeting on November 25th by a score of 3-1. The third and final meeting will be on April the 11th between these two teams. So it's interesting that these teams met November 25th. These teams met November 25th, and there's only 3 games today. It's odd. Then at 6 o'clock Eastern, or 6 o'clock Pacific, 9 o'clock Eastern, we have the Arizona Coyotes in against Colorado Avalanche. Now, the Avalanche have had a hard time with Arizona this year. 6-3 win for the Coyotes on December 27th, and it took overtime for them to win 3-2 against the Coyotes on March the 11th. The fourth and final meeting will be on Sunday between these teams, March the 26th. So Arizona's 27, 33, and 12 in the season, but they've only lost 1 regulation in their last 10. They're 6, 1, and 3. So they're playing well. They're 17 points behind the Winnipeg Jets currently for a playoff spot. Barrett Hayden has been really solid for them lately. 15 goals, 24 assists for 39 points. On the Colorado side, they're 41, 23, and 6 overall. Their last 10 games are 7, 2, and 1. They're 3 points behind Minnesota for second place, which means they're 4 points behind Dallas for first, and they're 3 points ahead of Winnipeg. So the Central, we really haven't seen that separation take place yet between first and fourth. Not along the lines that we have with most divisions. But that's still, I think Colorado is in the hunt for first right now. They need to win this one tonight, though. Nathan MacKinnon, 30 goals, 60 assists for 90 points. Really, really good chance that MacKinnon hits 100 points this year, and it would be his first. So injuries have derailed his chase of 100 points in seasons prior. So getting a Stanley Cup and then getting a 100-point season would silence some of the naysayers I've seen around MacKinnon. I always find that odd when fans have to tear down another player on a constant basis, but MacKinnon I've seen I used to see attacks, well, they'll never win a cup with McKinnon. That's been done. And then I've seen, well, he's never had a 100-point season, so he's not truly one of the best players in the game. That is likely to change soon. If he has a really good game, it could change tonight. Not likely, but it could. All right, that being said, let's talk about news of the day, starting with AJ Greer as a hearing for a cross-check on Mike Hoffman. Pretty rough cross-check on Hoffman. I would not be surprised to see. Now, normally I just guess 2 games. I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3 here. Now, if it was going to be a longer suspension, it would have been he's been offered an in-person hearing. And that's the difference between the shorter suspensions and the longer ones. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's 3. That being said, they seem to like 2 games as the suspension number. So we'll likely find out later today as Boston plays tomorrow. Save percentage has been dropping across the league, but there are 3 teams that are particularly egregious when it comes to the save percentage. Buffalo, San Jose, Columbus have save percentages below .860 in the month of March. So that usually means the defense is allowing a lot of really good opportunities from the slot, and it also means the goaltenders are struggling. So all 3 of those teams are right now out of the hunt. Again, Buffalo 8 points back. They've fallen out. The interesting thing, too, is that San Jose and Columbus sold a little bit at the deadline there. But for Buffalo, they kind of stood pat. In fact, they brought in Riley Stillman, but Vancouver called him the tank commander. So maybe there's something to that. Vancouver, on the other hand, their numbers have definitely gone up. Now, Klingberg is seeing doctors today. So Minnesota Wild's John Klingberg, just in case you forgot he was traded to Minnesota with all the players being moved. So he won't play tomorrow. It's an upper body injury. Kaprizov, not expected to play on the road trip, not skating yet. So there was talk about him coming back sooner than expected and how he's got really good conditioning and he's going to surprise people. Those talks have definitely quieted. And for Minnesota, who've been playing very well without Kaprizov, even last night's game, I thought they had their moments. Definitely not a game you want to lose if you're chasing first in the division. They get a point against Philadelphia, and again, Philadelphia I thought played really well last night. So for the Wild, they're still in the hunt for first place, obviously, in that division. And doing it without Kaprizov should give them confidence come playoff time that they can really get it done, especially since by then Kaprizov should be back and healthy. I want to talk a bit about Ottawa here as well. So they're 5 points out. This is one example of there's fan bases that get mad when I talk about their team being probably out of it. And there is that discussion with Ottawa as well. So I want to get into this. They have 10 more games to go. They're at New Jersey in their next game. Then they're at home against Philly. They're home against Florida first, and then against Philly. Then they're at home against Toronto. So that's 3 home games. Now, Toronto, absolutely right now playing some really good hockey. Then they go to Columbus, so that's winnable. But then they're at Carolina. They're at Florida. They come home and play Tampa again. Tampa Bay is going to be ticked after what happened in the last game. They're at home against Carolina, and they're at Buffalo. Now, by a points percentage side of things, they have one of the tougher remaining schedules. However, they're not one of the top 5. We'll talk about that here. But the thing is, you look at the fact they're 5 points back. There's 3 teams they'd have to pass. They'd have to pass Florida, Pittsburgh, and the Washington Capitals, or conversely, the New York Islanders, who after tonight should have another win under their belt and have 8 wins in their last 11. But I think they need to go 7-2-1 to get in. And I don't know that I can come up with a 7-2-1 with that remaining schedule, because to make up that 5-point difference, you also need the other teams to struggle. Florida's still 6-3-1 in their last 10. Pittsburgh's 4-5-1 in their last 10. So if they get 9 points in their last 10 games, because they have 10 games left as well, that leaves Ottawa needing 14 points to tie Pittsburgh and 15 points to get ahead of them. And then you have to be thinking, okay, so wait, but if Florida passes Pittsburgh and if the Islanders are still ahead, it could take more than that. So I think 7-2-1 is the bare minimum for Ottawa to get in, because you have to remember everybody else too. So getting into the strength of schedule conversation as well, and I've talked about how this should be taken with a grain of salt at this time of year, because sometimes the underdogs are very relaxed. They don't have to worry about playoffs. They're really just going out and having fun, and those can be the toughest teams to play. And sometimes the teams that have already had their playoffs decided, they already know they're in, they already know they don't have anything to worry about. They might play more relaxed in another way, and you might be dealing with teams that aren't icing their full lineup. Boston, for like a couple of weeks now, has been rotating guys out And it's their turn in the rotation. They don't care if it's a top 6 forward, a top 4 defenseman. They just rotate them out. And then after the game, people say, "See, Boston's not that good." They rotated guys out of their lineup, and they still won. But at any rate, your strength of schedule, the easiest from here on is Calgary. So this bodes well for Calgary. We will see. But again, they're 6 points back right now. And for the Jets, they're not one of the top 5 hardest either. So again, it's going to be a tough road for Calgary. It's harder, I think, for Calgary to get above the line than Ottawa. Colorado also has an easy schedule from here, as evidenced by tonight's game against Arizona. But again, Arizona playing really well right now, so that's where the conversation gets a little muddy. Dallas, Edmonton, and Vancouver also with easier schedules. And it was said a lot when Rick Tocchet took over that Vancouver had a much easier schedule than they did under Bruce Boudreau, which was going to make it look like the Canucks were a lot better than they might have been because of win-loss record. Then in the hardest category, it's Nashville. Nashville's got a tough road from here, but if they play like they did last night, well, if Saros plays like he did last night against Seattle, they've still got a chance. Then you've got Tampa Bay, you've got Washington. Washington, of course, below the playoff line. Columbus, yeah, it gets tough for Columbus. And Vegas. Vegas has one of the tougher schedules as well. But again, grain of salt on that just a little bit. Now, injury news. Laine is out for the next 2 to 4 weeks with a triceps strain. So if it's 4 weeks, his season is done. Columbus out of the playoffs and all that. If it's 2 weeks, he'll come back in time to play the last few games. The Laine's had an up and down season for Columbus. The questions of his ability to play a full 82-game schedule will definitely be mentioned when we talk about their off-season plans and how things look for next year. But I think Laine is a decent 30-goal scorer, and if Columbus is going to have a bounce-back year, they're going to need him to stay healthy and to hit that 30-goal mark, and maybe 35 or 40. So the talk has been out there. There's been a lot of it, and I've been just staying out of it. The whole Pride jerseys thing that has become basically what a lot of people are talking about all the time, and I think it's gone a bit over the top. So the NHL, the NHLPA, and whoever else wants to chime in on this, absolutely fine. My opinion on this is simple. Now I'm wearing the Abbotsford Canucks Diwali jersey. So there's the shoulder patches and all that. And this is one that my wife got me for my birthday. And it fits me because it's Sheldon Dries. It's the only player on the team that it would have fit me. And of course, he's currently with the Vancouver Canucks, so I'm excited that I've got a Sheldon Dries jersey. Because that's the thing, right? That's why I like the players of the smaller stature as well. You can really tell at a game. But coming back to the Pride jersey, so this illustrates a point I've been making for a long time about all warm-up jerseys. These specialty jerseys they wear, and then they auction them off for $750, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, and it's a lot of money. But I really think that the answer to this could be something simple, where if a player wants to wear a Pride jersey for warm-up on any night of any game during the season, they can do that. If they want to do it 3 or 4 times, then let them do it, right? And you set that up that they can do that, and you can still have your theme night in the building. You can still have one night a season where having the Pride night, but sell them at a retail level. And I've discussed this about various jerseys that I understand they sell for charity, and it's a warm up, and it's you can auction it off. And I know that there's a manufacturing process that takes a while. I'm not completely out of the loop on this. I know it can take up to 2 years of lead time to get a jersey that's going to be made at the retail level. But I think that could really help. And then you sell these jerseys, and if there's charities that you want to support as a hockey team, then the money from those jerseys being sold goes to that charity. I think you'd make more money. Then you'd have fans wearing them in the stands. And then I mean this for all of the nights in the NHL, all of them. And if hockey fights cancer, if they can make those for retail level, and they can make the St. Patrick's Day ones, and they can make the military ones, there's no reason they can't. You can still hire a local artist to make them. The ones Florida wore last night looked absolutely fantastic. Absolutely love that logo. Immediately I was like, I need to have magnets with that logo. That needs to happen. And yeah, I think you can still hire local artists. They can still make the logo, and then you can go through the process of manufacturing said jerseys. And again, people would buy them at a retail level, and then it wouldn't feel as, and there is a part of it that feels kind of fake. There is, because whether it is or it's not fake, it does on some level feel like this is the obligatory thing. This is the other. And Matthew Tkachuk, I think it was, from last night, talked about how there's all kinds of different theme nights. Yeah, there's a lot of theme nights in the NHL, and I don't know. I feel like if they made them at a retail level and just make it so that if a player wants to wear it, fine, you can wear it out for warm up. Just think about it. You have 20 players out on the ice wearing your normal, let's say Senators. Everybody's wearing the normal warm-up jersey except Brady Tkachuk comes out wearing the Pride-themed jersey that night. And then they have that one jersey on the auction site after the game that I think the auction price would go through the roof. And then a couple weeks later, Cam Talbot comes out wearing it. A couple weeks later. And I think that would mute some of the negative blowback that we see on both sides of the argument. And I think it would still raise money for charity, which is what that's supposed to do. And definitely, I think that would work. Because again, I've been arguing for years. A lot of these warm-up jerseys, and not just for Pride, but a lot of the different ones, like the Day of the Dead ones that San Jose does. Who else does the Day of the Dead ones? I don't know. Does Arizona do that? At any rate, there's the Hispanic night as well. And I keep thinking, these jerseys are great. And then I look them up and I'm like, I'm not paying $2,000 for that. But if at a retail level, I can afford $150 for a jersey, $200 for a jersey, cool. And then that way, again, the money would go to whatever charity that jersey supports. And then fans get more of it. But let me know your thoughts in the comments section below, as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.